Hello everyone, this is Roland. Today I want to talk about meditation. The meditative life is the life that you need to find. When you were a little child, you had it to some extent. You were very close to the light as a little child. You were close to God. And you knew that God exists. You knew that there were good people and bad people. You knew that there were such things as injustice and unfairness. You saw it clearly. When there was something unjust or unfair, you saw it. Because you had a gift from God. A gift from God called intuition. A wordless way of knowing. A way of knowing without words. Without concepts, without images, just knowing. But what happened was that the world was very powerful. And things upset you and emotionalized you. And when they did, you got pulled out into the world more and more. Now the world was there to discover. Every day was a day of discovery, and that's the way God wanted it to be. But He wanted us to have a relationship with the world that is a proper relationship. You know, if there is a box of candy, and someone says, you can have some candy, then perhaps you'll say, well, no, thank you. Or you'll say, well, thank you very much, and you'll have a piece. But you won't have 10 pieces. And if something happens, then you see it happening, but it shouldn't upset you. It shouldn't anger you. It shouldn't excite you. It shouldn't make you fearful. You just see that it's happening. And therefore, if there's any response needed, it's a response that comes from what you see as wise with your intuition. Then you would live intuitively, spontaneously. Now you maybe hung on to that a little bit, but as the years went by, you were pulled out into the world until the relationship became a hypnotic relationship, where everything around you reminded you of some incident in the past. Everything around you captured your attention or upset you a little bit or caused some sort of emotional reaction, a little bit of fear, a little bit of tension, a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of impatience, a little bit of anger, a little bit of remorse, a little bit of sadness, a little bit of excitement. See? And because of that, you became totally absorbed in the world. Well, you have to refine your intuition. It's called the light. The ancients, people like Moses, Abraham, Isaiah, Isaac, and people like Ruth, Rebecca, they walked in the light. See, they weren't lost in their imagination like people are today. They walked in the light. So you must learn to walk in the light. Then you can walk, as one author said so beautifully, by the light of two suns, the earthly sun and the spiritual sun. So to find it, you have to find a way to detach from your absorption in the world. Okay? To detach from your absorption in the world. So you can be in the world but not of the world, as the Bible says. So how do you do that? Well, that's what the meditation helps you to do. You learn to detach from the world so things don't excite you and anger you and upset you and make you nervous and make you tense, which is what they do now, and stress you. See? And then the other thing, that when you develop this absorptive relationship with the world, it feeds the imagination. As soon as you have an emotion, you immediately fall into the imagination. Now there's two reasons for that. One reason is because the imagination, or the intellect, thinking process, is how you try to figure out an answer to what's going on, to some problem. So as soon as something is a problem, and you try to figure it out. So that's one reason. And then you think of different possible things that can happen and what you'll do about them and so on. But the other reason is that we're not supposed to live in a hypnotic relationship with the world. We're not supposed to be absorbed by the world. The world is not supposed to be more important than what we know in our heart, more important than our Creator. See? More important than principle, more important than wisdom, more important than love. See, it's not supposed to be. And so when it is, then you feel a little bit guilty for that. Your intuition, you still have it, makes you aware that you're doing something that's not right. It makes you aware that you're too caught up in the world. Well, then when we don't want to admit we're wrong, we don't want to see that we're wrong, we don't want to see that we're going to excess, we don't want to see that we're out of control. See, the world controls you. Instead of you're driving the car is driving you. See? So we don't want to see that. So everyone that's ever lived, who's done something that's not smart, something right, something that's not proper, something that's not, right, hides in the imagination afterwards. So you've developed a habit of hiding in the imagination. So not only are you lost in the world, but now you're lost in the imagination. And you use things like drugs and alcohol and marijuana and distractions and entertainment and music to help feed and keep you in that imagination. So you have to find a way to be in the world but not of the world. And then you have to find a way to stand back from your imagination, which is very powerful. And it tends to pull you away from the present, from reality, from God's light, from your intuition. And so struggling with it doesn't help, it only gets stronger. What you have to do is just learn to observe it. Observe that yourself getting lost in things. Observe the effect that it has on you. Observe your emotions and how you're out of control. Just observe that. Just see it. There's something about seeing things in the light. It solves them. It resolves the problem. It makes the problem go away. But it resolves it. It resolves itself. You don't have to do anything. It's like hanging a dirty piece of laundry out on the clothesline on a beautiful sunny day, and a warm light of the sun shines on it, and when you go out later, it's fresh because of the sunlight. So you need to refine that spiritual light and walk in it. Okay? That's what the meditation helps you to do. Now, I just made a new one. Right now, it's available. It's on YouTube. And I can't remember what the name of it is. Advanced Meditation, or no, it's something like old recording or poor quality recording reveals secrets or something like that. There's two of them. They're both important, two of them. And what happened was I made it with not a good microphone. The quality is really terrible, but the content is fantastic. You should get those. You can get the free meditation too, available at the website, 7-minute free meditation. But this new one is very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a transcript of it, and then I'm going to read it, because the content is that good. Then I'm going to reread it with a good microphone. But who knows when I'll be able to get that completed. In the meantime, get that that poor quality recording and listen to it. It's just beautiful. The first part is a very nice shows you how to meditate. The second part is just beautiful content, tips and secrets of finding the spiritual life. Well, I hope you will do so. My name is Roland.